Hi, my name is Mark Erdesy, and this is my demo that displays a particular game I find useful within my social studies classroom. I teach ninth grade global studies, and for this particular assignment, I am going to be describing my use of Kahoot and Socrative, which are two formative assessment tools that are web-based that utilize uh, basically a trivia-based format that challenges students to think about what they've learned, and it allows teachers to assess how much they learn and plan accordingly. So I designed a Kahoot for a concept within Unit 1 within Global Studies. The concept is map skills, and it basically asks my students to know and understand the different types of maps a geographer would utilize to understand the unique regions of the world. This is my lesson plan here. You can see the LEQ at the top here, the vocabulary, the different types of maps they need to use, and on down throughout the lesson here. You can see here that my use of Kahoot and or Socrative usually occurs as a review game of sorts before you can say the summative activity for that particular lesson or unit. Basically, I want it to occur before my students complete a higher level thinking activity, lab, or project. Um, I want to understand which of my students know and comprehend the material and which students do not. If the majority of class does not understand the material, obviously then I'm going to have to go back and review the material in a different way, give them a little bit more practice before they're willing and able to complete uh, that final activity. So there's my lesson plan. What's cool about Kahoot and Socrative is that they allow you to do a variety of different things within your classroom to formatively assess student learning. For Kahoot, you're basically allowed to complete three different types of Kahoots. You could have a quiz, which is a game-based trivia. You could have a discussion, which kind of takes out the competitive element of things, but obviously it's going to incite some pretty good discussions within class. And you can have kind of like a poll or a survey here. Okay, my favorite way to complete Kahoot is with a quiz, because I think students really get into it. They find it more fun, and they really like to see themselves on that leaderboard with their points attached to their name, and they participate better with it. So Creative is very similar to Kahoot. Um, I tend to use Socrative more throughout uh, or during a lesson rather than Kahoot, which typically occurs towards the end of a lesson as more of like a fun review game. One student described Socrative to me as it's like Kahoot but not as fun, and I tend to agree with that. Socrative is very similar. You could have a quiz here that's not competitive. You can have a space race, which is very competitive. You can also do quick questions and even exit tickets. One cool thing about Socrative that makes it different than Kahoot is that you can embed short answer questions within the formative assessment. So anyway, here's Kahoot. We'll go to the Kahoot I made for types of maps. Basically, once you create it, you can make it public and you can share it with other teachers and make it accessible to all your students. So once it's created, students can access it to review and study for tests, especially if you make it accessible, let's say, on your online website for the class. So go here and play Kahoot. The teacher can start a Kahoot session, and they can toggle on and off a variety of different ways and methods they want to create the quiz. To launch. Basically, students access the game through go out of here for a second. Basically, students access the game via a tablet, a computer, or a smartphone. They'll go into playkahoot.it, they'll put in the game pin, and they can literally start the game. My bad. We'll go through a few quick questions here, and then I'll show you another creative feature about what you can do at the end of a Kahoot session. So they'll enter that, and then they can start to play the game, and it's going to show a series of questions. I'll show you what a question might look like. I might ask something like, what type of map would you use to figure out if Saudi Arabia has commercial fishing? And I'll give 4 options there, and students will pick the option they think is the correct answer. There will be a time limit, let's say 30 seconds. And based on how fast and how correctly students respond to that question, it will determine the amount of points they get. So at the end of each question, it will show the number of students from the class that chose the correct answer, and it will also show the number of students that chose each incorrect answer. So as a teacher, this is very valuable information because I can pause the class right then and there. I can visibly see the misconceptions in student learning, and I can address it to every single student. I can ask a student, hey, Matt, why did you pick C instead of D? And we can talk about that gap and misunderstanding and why D is the better answer than C. So that's kind of how I run Kahoot. It's very teacher directed. We'll stop at the end of each question and we'll really think about how and why a particular answer is the best one. What's cool about Kahoot and Socrative is that you can download all the data at the end of each game. Here's just one example. This is Kahoot. It shows for each student that played the game the number of correct answers they got, the number of incorrect answers, and their score. And you can literally go through each question and see which ones the students did amazing on and which ones they did not. So you can really address specific content that they may be lacking in. So for instance here, they really got HEI dependence here. Only one student got it wrong. Conversely though, they still need to work on identifying the different types of regions over here. Socrative also allows you to download the data. Okay, a little bit different format here, but basically the same. This one gives you percentages for each student and also percentages within each question. So all in all, I think they're both really amazing tools that are great to assess student learning and to appropriately address and change your instruction to make learning more beneficial in the future. Thanks.